everyone, and welcome back to Thunderclan History and Beyond. Preview episode 2B, Packs and Kills, more. And episode 245B, Bye Bye Blue Star. Last we left off, I was saying pack, pack, kill, kill, which brings us to our next, point of view. The death of Swiftpaw and Brightpaw becoming Lost Face, and the end of the dog pack and Blue Star. It began when White Storm and Fireheart on patrol found, each different patrols, Fireheart leading one, White Storm leading the other. They each found evidence of killed prey in their territory. They thought it was nothing, and they continued finding killed prey. And then, when Fireheart went to consult Blue Star about this, Blue Star in her cuckoo state, thought it was Wind Clan stealing prey. And so at the next gathering, they brought it up. The Tall Star. Tall Star said that Thunderclan was stealing prey from their territory and was making these false accusations to cover it up. Oh yeah, I said this. And so plans for a battle began. But Fireheart, in the middle of the night, unbeknownst to Blue Star, slipped away, and it went all the way over to the Wind Clan camp. And Ravenpaw, by the way, he first went to Ravenpaw to say that when dawn comes, come to ThunderClan. And then to Tall Star, please, make peace. Tall Star agreed, and when the battle was supposed to happen, they made peace. But Blue Star knew what happened and finally lost faith in every single warrior, including Fireheart. Next, she only said only Cloudpaw could become a warrior. And Swiftpaw, that choice was the death of him. Because the next morning at dawn, while Cloudtail was keeping his vigil, facing one way, Swiftpaw and Brightpaw decided to go find out what was making all the ruckus in their territory. They went out to Snake Rocks, where all the action happened, and Swiftpaw died fighting. And Brightpaw, some people say that her punishment, her injuries were worse. The dog pack killed Swiftpaw. Injured Brightpaw, tore off her ear and her eye and many of her wounds. And so when Fireheart and patrol people, I forgot their names, I forget who went off to see, they had gone. And when they brought them back for Swiftpaw's vigil, Cloudtail was distraught. And Fireheart hoped he would never have to feel that anguish when Fireheart had when he lost Spotted Leaf, or Graystripe when he lost Sandstorm, or Blue Star when she technically did lose but also didn't at the same time Mistyfoot and Stonefur. Or ThunderClan when they lost Firestar. Sandstorm when she lost Firestar too. Next, of course, Blue Star explains that there was a ritual that apprentices could go into StarClan like warriors. And in her war with StarClan, she named Brightpaw Lostface. Next, of course, when they went off to see the dog pack, they found trails of rabbits. They didn't know what was going on, but they found a rabbit. Of course, they just tossed it aside, thinking nothing. But the next day, Longtail comes over to Fireheart to say, I've scented Tiger Star in the woods. And tells him it was at Snake Rocks. And he didn't think of it because Fireheart interrupts at this moment saying, this is Tiger Star. He can do what he likes. Just imagine that was angrily. Then, as Longtail tries to explain, Fireheart is furious at him and stalks off and runs into Cinderpelt coming out of her den. Then, who asks what's wrong, Fireheart explains. She tells him he's like Blue Star because if Longtail was, quote unquote, creating a trap, end of quote, with Tiger Star and Darkstripe, right? Would he even tell you that he sent a Tiger Star somewhere? He would just say, come on, we have to go to Snake Rocks. Fireheart agreed, and when he went to find Longtail, he had a chill because he wasn't in the clearing, and he thought that was the end. That was the tip over, to have Longtail scrabbling into ShadowClan after Tiger Star. But he found him with White Storm in the Warrior's Den, saying, you've got to listen to me, White Storm. Fireheart thinks I'm a traitor and wants to have nothing to do with me. And White Storm recently pointed out that you seem to tell Tiger Star what's going on in the clan, so he can accuse Blue Star of negligence at the next gathering. But Longtail says, not me, Darkstripe. And says, there's dogs living at Snake Rocks. Fire interrupts saying, dogs? What dogs? Longtail jumps and says, are you sure you want to listen to me? But eventually does tell the story of how Tiger Star was dragging a rabbit over to Snake Rocks by the caves. He jumped onto the top of a rock, and then the leader of the pack jumped out, grabbed the rabbit, went back down, and everyone started howling, pack, kill. The words in Cinderpelt's dream, an evil in the forest, and Blue Star's evil in the forest called the Pack, and Brightpaw's pack, kill, wailing. Well, now Lostface. Then, before it begins, and Cloudtail, Graystripe, Fireheart, and Lostface go to see Princess, who blunder after a blunder, says the wrong thing, and Lostface finds out her reflection. Next, Fireheart tells, and on the way back, they send more rabbits. They steal the trail, but at the end of the trail, Cloudtail saw it first. He stopped dead at the end of the ravine, wailing, no! Why, Fireheart? Why her? And Fireheart replies with fury in his voice, because the dogs want to taste for cat blood. The dead cat in front of them was Brindleface. Apparently, she had gone out hunting very early, and her clan only just noticed she was taking a really long time to return. Her burial was a hurried affair, carried out by Cloudtail, Fernpaw, Ashpaw, White Storm, and the rest of her kits and her family. Fireheart included, of course. Then he went to tell Blue Star about the pack. Then, after that, gathered them together and said where to go, signing rocks, while some people would steal the trail. When they would follow the rabbits, they would come to the Thunderclan camp. There, waiting for them would be a Thunderclan cat who would run a certain distance to another Thunderclan cat, and that first Thunderclan cat would climb a tree, out of sight and out of reach. Then it would continue, so on, until Fireheart, till Graystripe would run as fast as he can and climb up a tree. Meanwhile, Fireheart would jump out of his hiding place and run to the gorge, and then quickly zoom off to one side while the pack crashed into the waterfall and drowned to death. Of course, it carried out perfectly, but the dog pack was closer than expected, which meant that when Graystripe came pelting out of the grass, just 3 feet behind, just like 2 yards behind him, was the leader of the dog pack. Let's call him Alpha. I'm riffing on survivors here, so I'm just going to call that the leader of the dog pack, Alpha. Just remember, the leader of the pack, Lucky, comes in survivors is also named Alpha, which is why I'm naming the leader of this dog pack Alpha. So, Alpha's straight behind him, and when Firestar is almost at the gorge, Tiger Star comes in and goes, "Going somewhere, Fireheart? Greet StarClan for me, only after you." The last part was Fireheart, of course. First, but then Tiger Star jumps away in time to have Alpha grab Fireheart. Then a challenge happened. Blue Star came in, kicked Alpha over the edge, but not before it caught her leg and wrenched her over too. They both landed in the river, and so did other dogs, and the others that were still alive turned to piteous whimpers and ran off somewhere. Meanwhile, Blue Star survived the ordeal of the falling and the swimming, and when Fireheart came to rescue her, she was having so much trouble. But then Mistyfoot and Stonefur came along and brought her to the shore. Finally, they forgave her, and they shared tongues for one last time. The first, more like the third, but it wasn't going to be the last time. Then, meanwhile, Tiger Star and Graystripe were racing over the two-lake bridge, coming down, and to find out that Mistyfoot and Stonefur were Blue Star's children. Then, along comes someone else. StarClan. Blue Star, before she dies, says, "Oakheart, or have you come for me? I'm ready." And says to Firestar, "Long ago I was told fire would save the clan, and I doubted it until now. You see, Fireheart? You are the fire that will save the clan. You will be Firestar, the light of the clan." And dies. Tiger Star races back to Shadow Clan territory, and Blue Star is dead. Mistyfoot and Stonefur, along with Fireheart and Graystripe, start to bring her home. Next episode, we will discuss what happens in the next few days after Blue Star's death. This might be a 2-part episode, but who knows, because it's only going to be as long as we can get. Because our next leader will be our favorite leader, Firestar.